sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. So let's read the footnotes. I don't see anything about the sleeves. But the more material that you use, the more expensive the coat is. Judah and Tamar. So there is going to be a page. This is going to be chapter 2 of my book. I started writing it rather. This is only going to be one page, so may as well just keep this in. At that time, Judah left his brothers and went down to stay with a man of Adullam named Hira. There, Judah met the daughter of a Canaanite woman named Shua. He married her and made love to her. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son, who was named He conceived again and gave birth to a son and named him Onan. She gave birth to still another son and named him Shelah. It was at Kezib that she gave birth to him. Oh, sorry for ignoring chat. There are many parallels between Jesus and Joseph. Yes, you are correct. I get all... If you haven't heard me go on and on about typology before, I do go on about typology. Sorry to bend your ear. Ads are going to start. No. How soon is the ad going to start? 5 minutes. We got some more time. Judah got a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Huh, that's interesting. That begs the question. Why was wicked in the Lord's sight? It doesn't say. What kind of wickedness? I guess I'll dance about that in the future. Then Judah said to Onan, "Sleep with your brother's wife and fulfill your duty to her as a brother-in-law to raise up offspring for your brother." But Onan knew that this child would not be his, so whenever he slept with his wife, he spilled his semen on the ground to keep from providing offspring for his brother. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death also. So I had a co-worker some time ago say that he didn't believe in God, didn't believe in Jesus and the Bible because of how harsh he is towards people. Can't even do this act without being put to death. So it wasn't the act itself, it was the fact that he was not fulfilling the duty that he was supposed to fulfill. He was trying to give offspring to Tamar, but it wasn't the spilling of the semen was not the wicked act that he was put to death for. Hydrate. Let's see. Judah then said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, "Live as a widow in your father's household until my son Shelah grows up," for he thought, he may die too, just like his brothers. So Tamar went to live in her father's household. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. So, sorry for backing up. So, we just read this 2 weeks ago in church. We read about the Sadducees coming to Jesus and asking him, "Hey, this woman married 7 husbands and they all died, and then the wife died. Whose wife will she be in the resurrection?" And someone made a joke in the church. He's a funny guy. He said, "Well, I wouldn't marry, if I was the sixth or the seventh son, I wouldn't marry that woman because apparently she's a murderer. Apparently she's a poisoner. But anyway, this is what Judah thought. Judah was thinking, I don't want another of my son. I don't want my next son to be killed for marrying Tamar, so I'm just gonna tell her to live as a widow until Selah grows up. I'm gonna put this off. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. When Judah had recovered from his grief, he went up to Timnah to the men who were shearing his sheep, and his friend Hira the Adullamite went with him. When Tamar was told, your father-in-law is on the way to Timnah to shear his sheep, she took off her widow's clothes, covered herself with a veil to disguise herself, and then sat down at the entrance to Enaim, which is on the road to Timnah. For she saw that though Shelah had now grown up, she had not been given to him as a wife. So I'm wondering how old is Shelah? I think growing up means that they're 13 years old. And how old is Tamar? Is she in her 20s or 30s or 40s? I don't think I'd want to marry some teenager just because. Anyway, neither here nor there. Here's my thought. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute, for she had covered her face. Not realizing that she was his daughter-in-law, she went over to her by the roadside and said, "Come now, let me sleep with you." "And what will you give me to sleep with you?" she asked. "I'll send you a young goat from my flock," he said. "Will you give me something as a pledge until you send it?" she asked. He said, "What pledge should I give you?" "Your seal and its cord, the staff in your hand," she answered. So he gave them to her and slept with her, and she became pregnant by him. Oop. Okay, we'll just wait until the ad break is over. We're going to hydrate. Hydrate. And we're back. Thank you for sticking with me over that ad break. Alright, so she says, "Your seal and its cord and the staff in your hand," she answered. So he gave them to her and slept with her, and she became pregnant by him. After she left, she took off her veil and put on her widow's clothes again. Meanwhile, Judah sent the young goat by his friend the Adullamite in order to get his pledge back from the woman. But he did not find her. He asked the men who lived there, "Where's the shrine prostitute who was beside the road at Enaim?" "There hasn't been any shrine prostitute here," they said. So he went back to Judah and said, "I didn't find her. Besides, the men who live there said there hasn't been any shrine prostitute here." Then Judah said, "Let her keep what she has, or I will become a laughingstock. After all, I did send her this young goat, but you didn't find her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Your daughter-in-law Tamar is guilty of prostitution, and as a result, she is now pregnant." Judah said, "Bring her out and have her burned to death." The hypocrisy! The hypocrisy! Apparently what's good for the gander is not good for the goose, because, men in this time are not, prostitution is not frowned upon for men, but it is for the women, similar to when the woman caught in adultery was going to be stoned. Who was she adulterating with? What happened to the man? The man just ran away? The man just up and left? Why wasn't he brought out in front of Jesus? So Judah said, "Bring her out to her and have her burned to death." As she was being brought out, she sent a message to her father-in-law. "I am pregnant by the man who owns these," she said. And she added, "See if you recognize whose seal and cord and staff these are." Judah recognized them and said, "She is more righteous than I, since I wouldn't give her to my son Shelah, and he did not sleep with her, and he did not sleep with her again." Okay. Similar to how when the brothers showed the coat to their father Jacob, they said the wording that they said as they yada yada yada. "See if you recognize those whose seal and cord and staff these are. See if you recognize whose coat this is," right? Deception after deception. One deception begets another deception. Jesus recognized it and said, "More righteous than I." When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb. As she was giving birth, one of them put out his hand. So the midwife took a scarlet thread and tied it on his wrist and said, "This one came out first." But when he drew back his hand, his brother came out, and she said, "So this is how you have broken out." And he was named Perez. Then his brother, who had the scarlet thread on his wrist, came out, and his name, he was named Zerah. And Perez means breaking out, and Zerah can mean scarlet or brightness. Chapter 39. Back to Joseph. So the question is, why in the middle of the Joseph story did we go learn about Tamar and Judah? So this is going to be a parallel. It's going to be a parallel between Judah and Tamar compared